Hey everybody, I'm Angie Goff, and this is the Oh My Goff Show. For nearly 2 decades, I've covered big stories and big names, whether it was reporting from the royal wedding, the Super Bowl, or sitting down with the First Lady. There's one thing I know for sure. Behind every headline is a human story, one filled with ups, downs, laughter, and life lessons. Each episode, we'll tap into some pretty incredible minds, people who've found true success in chasing their dream or changing the world. It's the story behind the story that I hope will inspire your own. This is the Oh My Goff Show with Angie Goff. Episode 81 of the Oh My Goff Show.
Live on Fireside.
The question that we are asking today is, what does it mean to be a witch? Why is that word? Why is it so triggering? Why is it so supercharged? There's one person who can answer this question, and she's joining us now. She is a high priestess and ritualist. Tahverlee Anglen is joining us today. She is the founder of Witchfest, which we're going to talk about as well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
How did you become a witch?
Simple question, complicated answer. The simple answer is I finally just embraced what it means to access wisdom beyond our traditional senses, right? To me, being a witch is just having access to wisdom, both from the spirit world, through nature, through our own intuition, like what our body tells us. And knowing that we all have that as possible, and knowing that this word witch is triggering for so many people because of persecution that has gone on for thousands of years, which has been primarily against women who are sovereign, right? Who own their own abilities to be themselves in a variety of ways. And so that word, combined with me fully stepping into my own power, it's just been natural for me to bring this word back, to reclaim this word witch, which is just having access to wisdom.
You do say that witchcraft is not trendy. We see it in movies like Descendants and Hocus Pocus. We think of spells. We think of all the misconceptions, dating back to the Salem witch trials. And I know there's a lot of history there. Do people literally roll up and say, "Where's your broom?"
Yes. Yes, they do. They ask me if I work with chicken bones, if I do black magic, if I carry a broom. I get asked that question often, and it's quite funny to me. They're tools, right? I mean, to me, the magic of who we are as individuals is inside of us. So whatever you're using is just a tool to aid who you are. But to answer sort of your initial question is, if we look at witchcraft as just the ability to shift consciousness at will, that takes all the trendiness out of it. That brings us into science. That brings us into energy, because if we can shift consciousness at will, and we know that consciousness can shift matter, that's the practice of a witch, right? And not all witches cast spells or do rituals. A lot of witches just understand the innate difference between working from altered states, which is consciousness. And anyone who's meditated or done any work on their own spiritual awakening path knows that that altered state, that shifting of consciousness, changes our reality in a moment. And so that's, to me, if we look at really the baseline of what's not trendy, that's not trendy. Humans have been doing that for thousands of years. Like, our bodies used to be what we use our cell phones for now. Our bodies used to be the technology that would tell us when the weather's going to change, what's happening on the other side of our tribe, because we could feel it. And so we've lost that. And so reclaiming the witch is really coming back in touch with our own bodies, our own knowledge centers. And simply thinking about it like this shift in consciousness is the path of a witch, is a different way to think of it. That's not trendy. That's work.
It is a lot of work. And I know that you talk a lot about feeling rather than doing, and getting back to that. It seems like so many of us have just become numb. We've become distracted by things. And you run the Moon Temple Mystery School. I envision like going and hanging out with Harry Potter.
In a few moments, you will pass through these doors and join your classmates.
It doesn't sound exactly like that, right? You use witchcraft. You consider yourself a witchcraft educator. What do you learn at Mystery School?
Anyone can step into Mystery School, regardless of your path, your tradition, your belief, your religious background, because we're bringing the ancient teachings forward that have been taught for thousands of years to anyone who wants to learn. which means we're taking dogma out of it. So if you have an interest in exploring the witch path itself, there are several ways to do that. We have a witch's apprentice. We, teach the high priest and high priestess program, which definitely there are men that go through as well. And then looking at programs like Making Magic is really more aligning you to the spirituality of transformation, which includes like shamanic journeys, how to create intentions and rituals that aren't necessarily tied to needing to identify as a witch or not. It is this transformational path that so many people are on right now. I mean, you see in hordes people leaving traditional religion to explore something that allows them to really express the truth of who they are without this cage or this box that you have to be this way or you are going to experience hell, right? People are stepping away from that, knowing that we have the opportunity to make mistakes and learn and grow and do it over and over again. So that spiritual awakening path also is heavily involved in mystery school. And it doesn't matter your level of experience, there's a place for everyone.
Do you have to be out in Colorado where you live, or can you do it from anywhere?
It's all virtual. We do everything virtual except for Witchfest is our one event in person every year. This year it's going to be absolutely amazing. And it goes back to that feeling, right? I mean, we can establish, and I can go deep down rabbit holes here, but really if we know that time and space don't really exist, meaning we can create energetic connections no matter how far or close someone is to where you're located. Like, look at you and I. We're creating a connection already, even though we're speaking, but I can feel you. I know that you can feel me. We're creating this connection, and we can do that virtually. We don't need to be in person to do that.
I want to ask you about that because I have to be honest with you. I came down here to set my podcast studio up. I hadn't set it up since last week when I did my last interview. I'm not kidding you. There were things that had fallen off the wall. This porcelain coffee cup fell on the ground. It didn't shatter, but a piece of artwork shattered. And I was like, oh my gosh, someone's here. Is it Lucifer? What are you doing? What did I do? What did I get myself into?
That is really funny and totally not surprising. Not surprising.
Oh, I didn't even tell you this. I was setting up my lights. This never happened before, Tahverlee. I don't know what kind of energy I'm breathing here. The freaking light fell out of the wall. Look.
I will tell you that a lot of people that work with me and that have worked with me will tell you that those things happen. I come with a very strong team of guides that I work with. And I also have a really powerful council of spirits that have been witches from the past that come into my field and support my work. And so they're probably coming in to just say, hello, Tahverlee's coming into your space, get ready.
Can you ask them to put my light back though? If you have any questions about witchcraft, Tahverlee is she's an expert in this. But you also are an entrepreneur as well. And so for me, the backstory is always interesting to me. I think that you could argue, from what I gleaned, that all of us are born with a witch inside of us, right? But how did you land into this line of work? Because this isn't what you've always been doing, right?
Right. Yeah, my business is in the social impact field. So I've been working with nonprofit organizations all over the world for a very long time. And I also still continue to do that because being of service for me is the way that I'm made. And so that work internationally with nonprofit organizations is really close to my heart. And in the course of my career and my life, I think it was later in life when I realized that the way that I made decisions and interacted with humans is not how other people did it. Like I didn't realize. I thought everybody saw the way that I did. I was probably 30 before I realized that I'm a seer. I make decisions, right? I make decisions because I see it first, which makes it easy for me to take action because I know what's possible because I can see it. Now, everybody's gifts work differently, but for me, the moment that I started to realize that, oh, that's what's happening. That's how I was made. This is me. This is how I connect with other humans. And this is why. It started to wake me up. It started to wake me up. And of course, in the process of that, which is common for a lot of us, I went through a major transformation following a surgical complication that led me to what I say is the cliff, where death was on the other side. And I didn't go to the other side, but I could see it. And it was very profound for me to realize that it was possible that could have been the end for me. And when I woke up the next day, I was like, wow, every day is so short. Every life is so short. I can't waste another minute. And I haven't since then. For many years, I live waking up every day just grateful that today is another day to have a freaking amazing day. And so I make it so. And so it is.
You talk a lot about living, and I love that. But what's so ironic is you also talk a lot about death. We just had Tyler Henry on last week, and that was amazing. And he, of course, does different line of work, but that clairvoyance and that type of work is important. I know people have different levels of clairvoyancy. I don't even know if that's the right word, but hearing, smell, you say seeing.
Death is important for me to acknowledge because a lot of the work that I do is with humans that are no longer on this planet. And so, we're all here in a limited time. We're all going to die. I mean, we all have this, there's no question about that. But what happens after death is a part of the work that I do, especially in rituals when we are working with ancestors or guides or whatever spiritual belief you have in terms of ascended masters or archangels. I mean, there's a lot of death, and there's not just death in the human form. There's death in our belief system. There is death in the old version of us as we grow and awaken. That process of death and rebirth is alchemy. It's what I teach. It's how we transform into the highest version of ourselves. In order to get there, the old version of ourselves has to say goodbye, which means there is a grieving process to it. And if we look at it as a death and rebirth cycle, even while we're still alive, it's magical what's possible that we can build in our life when we are willing to just let things that need to go, that don't serve us, die. And I know those are powerful words for a lot of people to use that word die in old belief systems or things that don't serve us. For a lot of people, that feels edgy, but it's actually the truth of transformation. This is not something I talk about often, but because it's you, Angie, I'm going to talk about it. I'm also trained as a death doula. So I can bring the rituals that I have, that I work with, to help spirits that are going to soon leave a human body have an easier journey to the other side. And that's work I do as a volunteer. And it's because I know that gift that I have as a ritualist, and my connection with spirit is strong enough to where there are humans that don't have other humans around when they go. And so I can be a portal between the worlds for them. And so it's something special to me, and I don't talk about it often. So this is super special. Those that are listening, they're going to be like, what?
I mean, that could be a whole nother podcast. Death doula. Wow. Want to let everybody know, if you look in the fortune cookie, I did put a link in there, and it has a little bit more about Tahverlee. So at any point, even after the show, you can follow her. She's now on Fireside. So all you Firesiders, follow her. She has all of her information listed. But I also have a link to her Moon Temple Mystery School, and then more about the upcoming Witchfest, which is the state of Colorado's largest festival of its kind.
Well, they're expecting anywhere between 20 and 22,000 people over the course of 2 days. We have a full mystical market, which is amazing. We have, as you said, live music. We have a reader's alley, so tarot and oracle readers will be there as well. But the piece that really is, of course, my heart is we go on stage, and high priests and high priestesses from all over the U.S. come together, and we do our rituals for the audience to experience this shift of consciousness state I was talking about, like the feeling in your body of what takes place when we really work in altered states. And then I do an honoring of the dead, and I do that for everybody to experience. And it's profound. It's an experience where your body is going to feel what's possible, even if you don't understand what's happening.
And you do this in October, and you talk a lot about this thinning of the veil.
It's the time of year where the space between the spirit world and the human world is more easily accessible. There is an easier crossing between the spirit world and the human world. And this happens a couple of times a year at liminal space, which is changing of seasons, changing of what's happening cosmically, like these times of years. And if you think of October, this is very traditionally in many religions and beliefs where the honoring of the dead takes place. You can find many different types of events that happen, but it is specifically because that veil sort of lowers, so humans can more easily interact with their loved ones that have passed or with their ancestors. And then also the spirits have an easier time being able to communicate with us, which for a lot of people is really magical. And that's kind of where Halloween came from, this idea of honoring the dead and being a part of the spirit world. This is traditionally what happens. And we do it, we allow everyone who comes to actually participate in a ritual throughout the entire event, even when we're on or off stage, that can come and do their own honoring of the dead. And that part is so wonderful. I mean, we had children, elderly, young families would come and do the whole ritual to honor their own ancestors. And it's so spectacular to feel what their body experiences in that moment when the veil is thin.
So this is not a scary thing. It sounds like very emotional.
Oh, no, it's actually happening during while Fright Fest is going on at Elitch Gardens, where the event is. So if you like the scary, spooky stuff, go through some haunted houses, go on some big roller coasters, and then come over to where we are. No, it's a beautiful honoring. In fact, one of our most favorite rituals that we will do on stage is called the Beauty Way. And this is an, oh my gosh, I just see a familiar face. Hello. This Beauty Way is a really great example of how we honor beauty and the sacredness of everything. Everything is sacred. So we when we do Beauty Way, we look in front of us, behind us, to the right of us, to the left of us, above us and below us and within us, and we'll search for where is that beauty located, especially in the spiritual exchange that takes place. It's beautiful, and it all comes from this vibration of love that sits in our heart, which is accessible when you work from altered states, which I know I keep talking about, but it's super important to know that alignment is a vibration that can be felt from your heart. So that's what people feel when they're there.
I like the vibration of your voice. I honestly think if this does not work out, you need to narrate ebooks. Just put it out there.
I lead a lot of journey space. I lead a lot of like shamanic journey space, and people comment a lot on that they could so well focus on my voice. And we have a guest who's going to, be able to share. She's been on a journey, how my voice just brings them to certain places. It's so interesting.
I mean, I could listen to you all day long. I love it, and you do notice that we have another guest here, someone who's familiar to the show and familiar to my life. She is my sister Jenny, and she's joining me. And I know, Jenny, this is so up your alley.
I can tell you right now, this is magic at its finest. Seeing my biological sister and my spiritual sister all in the same screen. But let me just tell you, a huge shift changed, 2 years ago when I met Tahverlee. I was actually out to look for health and wellness, as most people are right now, like through the post-pandemic and just trying to find themselves. And I will say, being a witch and practicing this spirituality it's not just a religion. It is actually a lifestyle. And that's how you are able to do it in all of your busy lifestyles. Okay. So even today, I mean, I think I have back-to-back meetings. I might be missing one right now, but I have my crystals. And if anybody wants to see a real witch's broom, got my real witch's broom. Just wanted to throw that out there. But when I first jumped in here, I had no idea what I was doing. I just wanted to meet somebody that had already opened up that magical pathway and that could help me figure out how to be fulfilled and kind of host my happy. And it's been so transformative that it's in my lifestyle now that it's not extra work to do. You can go as deep or as light as you can, but I can say in a lot of the people that I've met at Moon Temple, some of them are Christians. Like some of them are, they're all different backgrounds, right? Tahverlee, they're from all different types of backgrounds, and they have recognized, and this is what I recognized through too. My first question was always, well, how does somebody get chosen on who's magical, who's not, or whatever? Because I always felt like I was magical. And Angie, you actually hit it like on the nail. Like everybody has the magic within themselves. It is a decision. And it is this willingness to become that vulnerable. And it's not a sales pitch. It's just more like hey, if you want to like be the richest, most happiest person in the world, not even just monetary, that actually can happen too with tea. But just you're finding yourself. And that's what I've learned is that it's a journey. And the best acronym that's out right now for witch is a woman in total control of herself. Mm-hmm. And that's really what it is. There's so much divine feminine energy, but I've actually met a lot of male witches too. And it's a lifestyle. And I am freaking here for it and just so happy that you two met. Just a side note, like Angie, I know you've been a skeptic your whole life, but I also have told Tahverlee, like you have so much magic within you that's why a lot of these good things come your way.
Thank you for that, Jenny. Actually, I think it's because I was born on St. Patrick's Day. Kiss me, I'm Asian. That's what I tell everybody. I'm kidding. But I was born on St. Patrick's Day. That's awesome, Jenny. I know that you're a big believer. And listen, I mean, I will tell you, I see everything that you're saying, but for me, I think for a lot of people, we want something tangible, right? We want to know, words have power. We know that. So, I mean, I've done soul searching too. I mean, these are the crystals that I have every day. I mean, I even got the really like hardcore stuff. I don't know if you've heard about moldavite, but this stuff is like, woo, this came from a meteor. I got my quartz, and then I'm a Pisces. And so this is my, I think it's lapis, and it's supposed to help connect me between the real world and the celestial world. And then I'm also the mother of a Scorpio who freaks me the F out. That's why I sought out Tyler Henry, because I was like, who is this person? She's been here before. So I think, what do you suggest for someone who is just perhaps beginning?
I want you to commit to yourself that you are going to spend a minimum of 10 minutes a day on your own spiritual growth. That's it. Set aside 10 minutes a day. In that 10 minutes of time, what I want you to do is have no external noise at all. Zero. No phone, no children, no humans, no nothing. If you can be in nature, great. If not, a quiet space. If you can be in a quiet space with a candle, great. If not, just a quiet space. No external noise for 10 minutes. And I want you to ask a question every single day for 21 days and then journal on it. So you're setting an alarm on your phone and putting your phone aside, spending 10 minutes in silence, asking a question such as, what do I need to know today? Maybe the question is, what is the next step that I can take for my highest good today? Same question, 21 days, and journal. And then outside of that, the rest of those 23 hours and 50 minutes of the day that you're awake, your work is to open yourself up to receive, right? That's a really critical part of being in touch with the spirit world and doing this work, is opening yourself up to receive. And so just thinking about it throughout the day, allow it to. I'm a calendar girl, so I actually would say set calendar items like 2:00 in the afternoon. Am I receiving today? Well, when you ask yourself that question, it might be, Angie, have you received the compliments that were given you today? Did you allow them to come into your body as opposed to pushing them away by saying, I'm fine, that's not true, I'm not, right? Receiving happens in all ways, okay? So these 10 minutes that you set aside, this isn't about meditation. This is just you listening to your own inner voice and recording it. This could be you listening to the voice of the spirit world and recording it. Practice receiving throughout the day. And at the end of that 21 days, go back and start seeing what came out in your journaling. Because I'm sure the first few days you're going to write your grocery list, your to-do list, who you need to call tomorrow. Like, your journal is going to turn into what's sitting up here in your brain, what needs to get dumped out. But eventually what's going to happen is you're going to start listening to a deeper voice if you commit to it for 21 days. Don't read your journal. Wait till the end. And at the end, go back and see what came through your body through this process of the spirit world, your intuition coming through your body, out your finger, out your hand, and onto a piece of paper, writing, and see. And you will be very surprised at what can take place in 21 days.
Yeah, because we all have 10 minutes a day. We all have 10 minutes a day that we can do this. And I know that you talk about the work being done to help call out limiting beliefs. And maybe some of that will surface with that, because I think a lot of us suppress our emotions and our feelings, and we use distraction as a way to kind of, as a coping mechanism, I think, in many ways. And that's why we blow up and we explode. And so I think that that's a great note. By the way, if you're watching, I would have a pen and paper around, right? Because it's almost like a life lesson you're getting right here. We got some homework, everybody. We got some homework. We also have another guest who wants to jump in.
Hi, April.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful.
Okay, so I was listening to you, and I was trying to understand about the Witchfest. I think that's why a lot of Christians are, saying don't go and celebrate Halloween because it's like the devil's birthday. So how do you defend that, saying, hey, look, because we have children, right? And kids see the costume and they see everything on TV and they're feeling like, okay, I just want to be a superhero, or I just want to mimic something that, that's in the movies. But then you actually have witches that have their routine that they celebrate as, just as Halloween is. How do you help people understand that, like myself?
Yeah, such a really great question. And I'm glad that you asked that. I'm sure many people have that question. I think about it as the importance that we also have to honor our ancestors and people that we love that have died when you visit a cemetery, or when you take flowers to someone who is no longer with us. We do the same thing. Like, our rituals at Witchfest are with flowers, with roses. They are an honoring of the people's lives who are no longer here. So for us, it isn't about Halloween. It isn't about any sort of belief system. It's all belief systems honor people that are no longer here. And so that's why it doesn't matter what path or tradition you have, that you can come and participate, because it isn't necessarily about anything other than just a true honoring of life. And when we honor death, we actually bring more life into ourselves. Like, really acknowledging death and remembering those that have been with us is the complete giving and receiving of love. And that's what we do with people that have died. We can do that same blessing for those whose lives aren't with us anymore, that touched us. So it's, this idea, and what we do on stage is very much about, opening space to be able to create that honoring.
Yeah, I love that.
April, thank you so much. Good to see you. Tahverlee, along those lines, I wanted to ask about the offerings, because that's something you encourage people to go about and do. I mean, even for a beginner, anybody could walk out and maybe Google any piece of land and find out what happened, who walked these grounds before us.
You're right. You can Google and find out the history of the lands. There are always going to be land spirits that still occupy whatever lands that you're on. They're land tenders that have been there well before you and I have been on these lands. You can do that. You can go and research some of them, like tobacco or spirits or different things. But really, they appreciate you. You have the greatest offering to give to any land or any spirits, right? A piece of your hair of DNA, which I know people get weirded out sometimes about blood, but really we're talking about giving DNA to the earth, because when our bodies decompose, we become the earth again. So we are already connected to the earth. There are small ways you can give your voice. You can sing a song. You can speak out loud. Like, your your words have power. And so knowing that the vibration of trees and plants is a palpable thing when you're tuned into that sensitivity, your voice alone is a gift. For you, Angie, I invite you to walk outside and run your fingers through your hair and sprinkle your hair and say thank you, like, for holding this space where my family resides, right? Maybe on your property, you give a thank you to them. Fresh flowers, seeds, anything that is biodegradable that actually feeds the earth is always welcome.
What about, like, if I want to get some more crystals or something?
Yeah. Crystals are so funny, because they are definitely very trendy, and yet at the same time they are really super powerful. Some of them have been around for thousands of years, and they hold earth energy. So each crystal will hold a different type of energy. You can research and look it up, but I tell people, go with what feels the best in your body when you touch that crystal. So working with moldavite is no small thing. That is, Jenny already said it, you are already magical. I've kind of tapped into a little bit of your soul, so I can feel some of why and how you do what you do. So you are definitely on your destined path. You have your inner flame that sits inside your wisdom center is like a magnet for others who want their inner flame to be lit. So you are doing that work already. So moldavite can launch you to a totally different level, and at the same time, take away the things that aren't serving you to meet that soul purpose. So moldavite is a two-edged blade, right? It's smooth and steady, and it will cut things away that don't serve you, like, faster than that. So, but it's always to your highest benefit. So that's the charge of moldavite. All the crystals, you'll see I'm wearing a lot of amethyst today. They all have different vibrations to it. So my invitation is, you don't have to take a crystal class and become a crystal expert. Find your local store, hopefully that is loaned or owned locally, and pick them up. Close your eyes for a moment, take a full deep breath in and an exhale, holding onto a crystal, and see how it feels. And then listen to your body. Your body's going to say, oh, that feels good, or ooh, that feels edgy, or ooh, that feels tingly. Listen to that. And if that feeling is what you desire, then great, get that crystal.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why I don't hold the moldavite, because I'm actually still scared. I don't think I'm ready to use it just yet. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because if you do research the crystal, of course I saw it on TikTok and I was like, oh, all these people are crying with the moldavite. I got to get this. I got to cut this crap out of my life. And I buy it. And then I realized the more I researched it, and I will honestly tell you, when I first held it, like my hand was like trembling. And then I was like, maybe I'm just really tired because it's late at night. But then it kind of freaked me out and I really haven't touched it since. But it's here. I know it's in my toolbox, but I think other work has to be done before I go that route. So I appreciate that. Laura has joined the show. Hey, girl.
Hey, I'm a little bit raspy. I've had a cold now for 2 weeks, and maybe there's a potion or some kind of witchcraft idea that we can put inside of me to fix this craziness. But Tahverlee, thank you so much for coming into our lives today and giving us such insight into finding that inner voice, which I struggle with finding. All the noise with all my children, with life that gets so busy. So I have 2 questions. The first one, your name. Can you tell us a little bit about the meaning of your name, what it is, and also how our name connects us to our inner spirit?
That is such a fantastic question. And my name is a story. It's a funny story. I was raised by hippie parents. And, you know, I was literally born in a bubble of love by other adults that were also very hippie-ish in a small town. And my sister's name is Sunshine, if that tells you anything about my parents. And my parents will literally tell people that I'm a love child, but there was an intentional way that these letters got put together in their mind to create this name. And it's funny, I work with a lot of magical people, and there is a numerologist that tells me often that my name equates to the same number equation of Madonna. So they're like, drop your last name, go to court, drop your last name. I haven't done that yet, but Tahverlee it's its own thing. There's only one of me out there in the world, which is interesting at times. And so that's part one. Part two of that question is, names are interesting because for me, a given name is a really powerful way to communicate with another human. So Pilar, for you, you know that people using your name gives you a really positive charge. In spiritual terms, when you undergo any type of initiate path, you actually get given a different type of name. You get given a name that represents your own spiritual growth, which, going back to Angie and I, it represents that death and rebirth cycle. Some people choose to use it or not. It doesn't matter. It's just an assignment of an ancient word, and it's often closely related to your given name. So I believe your given name has a lot of power.
Thank you. And then my second question is maybe a little bit more practical. As a mom, I am busy and crazy sometimes, and children bring out that need for, I would say, patience, spiritual world that cannot be explained in words. So how do we channel that inner spirit so that we can transcend it to our children, so that we can stay calm, so that we can show them that it's not, I'm trying to frame my question. How are we better by being more spiritual, and how do we show our children?
Well, number one, you as a family can learn practices such as grounding, like how to ground an excess amount of energy, frantic energy, anxious energy. You as a family can create a practice of grounding. Number two, you as a family can also practice how to take deep breaths and the sacred pause. Like the sacred pause in the midst of stress and chaos isn't just for us as moms. I'm a mom too. Like I've been there. I know it's for us first, but we can bring our children into the loop to see what we're doing. They can witness it and participate with us. This transformation that you can go through, just even from simple tools of grounding, learning how to do deep breaths, taking time to be away from your devices and just be in moments, even if they feel easy or if they feel difficult. Doing those moments together creates the foundation of something different than what you know, which is a more aligned way of handling day to day. Because we can't control the external. We can only control our internal. And so I hope that that's helpful. I highly recommend you as a family, you decide to, however many times a week, practice grounding. And outside of that, however many times a week, you decide that you're going to learn a breath cycle. I teach a breath cycle and a 3-breath cycle, like a simple thing that everybody can do together. When times are tense, stressful, tight, busy, everybody has 4 minutes to do it together. And what that will do is actually clear all of your energy and align you closer, especially if you do this breath cycle together. Very simple, practical tools. There's two things I'll say to that too, that I think that oftentimes we see spells or rituals as things that blast us into the cosmos, that we do, on the full moon, or we do separately over here. But the truth is that for me, it's really important that I teach people how to bring what we do into their daily life, because it's useless if it's only a special occasion that we do a practice. I want it to be something that we do every single day or once a week. So it's a part of the normal life. And on top of that, I'm going to tell you something really powerful, Pilar. This is going to rock you. Are you ready?
Ready.
When we do the work on ourselves, especially as mothers, when we heal ourselves, and healing for you, you have throat chakra, right? I mean, this is reflective in your moment right now today, in your speaking your truth, all of these things in your throat chakra, but you've already started doing the work. And when you do the work to heal yourself, you are healing 7 generations behind you and 7 generations in front of you, because we carry as mothers everything we've experienced in our womb. And where do our children grow? In our womb. And then where do our children's children grow? In someone's womb, right? Out of a woman. So when you do the work to heal yourself, practicing deeper breath cycles, and it doesn't matter to me what label you use to call yourself, working on yourself creates change for everyone around you, always. And you're doing that.
God. It's so true. I've heard this today, like what you just said to me from 3 of my friends this week. You're not working on yourself. This is why you're like collapsing. And here you are. Mm-hmm. So, oh my gosh. Yes, I believe you're saying it's so true. It's so true.
More simple than you think to start. More simple than you think. Grounding is, if you have access to nature, take your children out bare feet once a day, and nobody speaks. You just breathe. Just sit on the earth. Sit on the earth. Just close your eyes and take a breath. It's that simple to start. There's lots of other things you can do. I'm giving you something really practical that you don't need any. You don't have to go buy something to do it. You don't have to plan something different to do it. You can rely upon the beauty of and the power of the earth, because we know the earth has a lot of electromagnetic fields in it. So go put your bodies on it and breathe together. You'll be surprised.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I swear, whenever Mercury's in retrograde and all that, the traffic is horrendous. And it's weird. I'll call into work and I'm like, what's going on with the moon? Somebody find out. And are there times during the year where we can expect these disruptions?
Those are real things. And this is science. Again, go back to science. And I love it that science is like catching up to spirituality now. It's really a beautiful thing. If you think of it just in broad terms, that the planets are all in a certain ratio on how far away they are from the earth and the direction that they're turning. When their direction slows or stops, which is retrograde, it can bring them in closer proximity to the earth than they are now. And if we think of all of the planets, just in simple terms of having different electricity, that change in the connection on how close it is to the earth can of course create a change in the earth. Same with the moon, same with all of the planets. And the moon itself, I mean, you know this to be true, this to be factual, that the moon itself can change the tides of the oceans, right? That's 80% of our planet. So when the moon changes and the ocean on our planet changes, our bodies are also 80% water. So if the moon can change 80% of the planet, of course it's going to change 80% of our body, because we are also water. Same thing with something like Mercury. Mercury, when it stations into retrograde, it's slowing down. So it appears to be moving backwards, which is why you hear a lot of the RE words like revisit, reevaluate. It's because the retrograde part is that it is actually stopped its cycle of turning and it starts to appear to go backwards, which temporarily brings it closer to the earth. That electricity can make a lot of things go haywire, technology, all kinds of stuff. Again, this is a measurable fact that people can go and research and find out, but all of the planets are directly related to the earth and have a massive impact on the earth, especially the moon, because of our bodies and the water that's located in our body. That all of this, yeah, it makes sense. And next time that happens, Angie, you just call me, you just text me and you say, Tahverlee, what's going on? And I'll tell you, next week is a very powerful week. So there's, because I know we're short for time, but I will say there's something called a Lion's Gate portal that opens on August 8th. It is 8/8. And it is a a cosmic revolutionary type of day coming on Monday next week. And I know I haven't talked about this yet, but we actually are doing a full moon witch rave, which is actually just a music ceremony taking place on the 10th on the full moon. And so next week we have not only the Lionsgate portal opens, which will be open for a couple of weeks, which I want you to just envision it as this alignment of a sector that allows you to experience a heightened level of connection to your higher self. That's the Lionsgate. And then 2 days later, there's a full moon. So it's like a wham, wham. So if anybody has intentions of what they want to release or if what they want to call in, next week is a good week to do that. Tap into your higher self, work on your alignment, make those things happen. It's possible.
How do we get in touch? How do we follow up? I know that your door is always open. And especially for more information on Witchfest. But with that in closing, I would love any piece of advice or last nugget that you'd want to share.
Yes. You can find me at moontempleschool.com. The Witch Rave is just witchrave.com. On Instagram and Facebook, I am a one of a kind. So if you just spell my name right, you'll find me everywhere pretty much. You can find me just by my first name and all the platforms. My final piece of advice would be to believe that you have the capacity to build life on your terms. It is possible through your breath, through your body, through connection, through the vibration that comes from the space that your heart lives in. And if I might, Angie, I would love for us to, you and I, even to just close our eyes for a moment, and we'll take a nice deep breath in our noses together. And as you exhale, just letting everything that needs to go, that doesn't serve you anymore.
Yeah, I need to do that more often.
Yeah. You could call me when the planets are messing up your traffic or your technology. You got me on speed dial. You know how to reach me.
Okay, this is amazing. And just again, for everybody to know who's interested, because I know there's some people from Northern Virginia that are definitely going, I think my sister is, to Witchfest, Friday, October 21st, Saturday, October 22nd. This is happening at Elitch Gardens Fright Fest in Denver, Colorado. So as you mentioned, just so much that you can do while you're there. Tahverlee, it has been such a pleasure. Thank you for helping us reclaim ourselves and reclaiming our witch. Where my witches at?
Thank you, Angie. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to my mom's show. Don't forget to subscribe.